Na Toshiba Asante Rimjina Chikakra. One of the messages he preaches ni say, "We share the tradition of politics in Ghana. Term Obiata na kwa say two terms. Abaya 2 years NDC first term ni, and all things being equal, they have an advantage for the second term. All things being equal, and you know, and election be easy sir. Say me koto NDC free because
96.3.
And if you look at the background, they will do 4 years. But
the dynamics change when the sitting president is not coming.
Yes, it does. It does. We are not denying that fact. But what we are saying is that, say, 8 years, there's the probabilities in favor of the 8 years. And this year, 8 years
with the same.
I know. 8 years with the same personality. But there's also an example of 8 years with the party.
Lawson FM 96.3.
And John Mama.
When John Mama was coming, he was then the president.
When he was going to,
he was the president.
Okay, he was the president because he had been elected as the president. Yes. But the party had those 2 terms.
Of course.
And you know, the probabilities are more in favor of the arguments 8 years.
Of course, that one there, undeniably.
Yes, Ebema contest na ye de dene pa and he okukuduro for ne obi na ne dene, and she refers to the concession we made the last election. Some of the parliamentary seats in Sempa and Humbebre no. Or see we need obi a ehumono no be bold enough to stand say no yentu aban kan we. And he finds that in Yura Canada Agyapong. And it is without this Mampusi Kusasi issue. But unfortunately for him, no, baby or free and Kutiano. If we have over 700 to 1 million Kusasis who say that will not vote for a candidate because he comes from A or B. Now we call contest and that's all the Obi of you have already lost 700,000 votes before you even start. And if we say we want power, we can't take that risk. Say we have the panel or money and pom chosa video mutumano. It won't happen. Base, yadi papa yi by near him send base in the Islamic community, which na MPP any a stronghold. And now Osenfree North. And also idea or these 2 places. A man candidate can be special because once he comes in, now to it may add up to our votes. But at the end of the day, when we went to the contest, the real no, suddenly and that's no, and Koyasa, and the whole money as antiquoy. Yes, and now, Monsieur Ibi Omoyano, as one say, yes, here were near 6 police station now. 6 police stations in all. 4 Kufuor winning 4. 96.3. All the 4. As one as Zongo, your candidate was preferred because he was coming from Zongo. And the chair said, "Saturday idea need to so. I 2 about 2023 man. San and Tessa." And he said, "No crazy opportunity. Would have to make sure." Say a choose will be only those disadvantages, near the Nico. And who is that person? It's Canada Agyapong. Na Toshiba Asante Rimjina Chikakra. One of the messages he preaches ni say, "We share the tradition of politics in Ghana. Term Obiata na kwa say 2 terms. Abaya 2 years NDC first term ni. And all things being equal, they have an advantage for the second term. All things being equal. And you know, and election be easy sir. Say me koto NDC free because
96.3.
And if you look at the background, they will do 4 years. But
the dynamics change when the sitting president is not coming.
Yes, it does. It does. We are not denying that fact. But what we are saying is that, say, 8 years, there's the probabilities in favor of the 8 years. And this year, 8 years
with the same.
I know. 8 years with the same personality. But there's also an example of 8 years with the party.
Lawson FM 96.3.
And John Mama.
When John Mahama was coming, he was then the president.
When he was going to,
he was the president.
Okay, he was the president because he had been elected as the president. Yes, but the party had those 2 terms.
Of course.
And the probabilities are more in favor of the arguments 8 years.
Of course, that one there, undeniably.
Yes, Ebema contest na ye de dene pa and you okukuduro for ne obi anani dene, and she refers to the concession we made the last election. Some of the parliamentary seats in Sempa and Humbebre. Or see, we need obi a humono. No be bold enough to stand and say no. Yantu aban kan we. And he finds that in Yura, Canada, Agyapong. And it is without doubt saying ye market Obia Canada Agyapong is the easiest candidate to market. Is the easiest candidate, even though
Lawson FM
in the past.
Yeah.
I think that given this Niemano, Canada Agyapong is the best candidate to market. Okay. And so we are urging all delegates to vote for him massively. Yempe by consensus.
Okay, so far said the campaign and the organization of Wene Kono, okay, is everything going on well, smoothly from leading up to the elections, and is everything going on well?
So far, so good. Let me give you 2 examples.
Okay.
The proxy votes, for instance, we were protesting, saying no, it is something that you are abusing in the past. Exactly. And this time, and we have succeeded. Yesterday, verification. I'm saying, and carbon. We protested now. Your team acted super massively.
Okay.
And
Lawson FM.
So good. In spite of the advantages, some of them are one candidate. You do such stage when we have seen that they are listening to our call. Let us be neutral and fair, because we are the same party. You may have your favorite.
That's what you're seeing. So the neutrality is there. The fairness.
It's drifting. My remember one example. You're 41 chairman of Asante region issue statement. In fact, if they were chairman of Asante region, or more aligned with DMB, and obey issue statement, say, Ubiaba Asante region. Now, another second lady, former second lady, Waha, to buy and manager, I continue. She should stop her campaign. We are creating confusion, but my tension about. So we reacted to that. How can you be a member of one team and yet claim that we are neutral? You can't be neutral. And me personally, me feel
96.3.
A Kenyan in Mrana say we are party penina can take his sides in such an election. They should be made to be neutral. You can have your favorites, but I won't mark out openly.
That's been there with you MP before, they say from a
but I think it's not helpful. So tension be a baby is as a result of that. And can we a chairman will be a will organize election would on one side? How can there be fairness? In also the party we share no, then it's home to me dealing with it. I think that it will help with the growth of the party. So far, Canada Agyapong's style of campaigning, you attest to it. This time it's not like before. He's doing extremely well, selling out policies and telling people what he would do different from what we have done as a country in the past.
How would you answer, sir? Notion where I be breeding them, but in the first place, OG or UK
96.3.
I also cheer.
Oh boy, you my
OG. Yeah. Now, Ebinum say yena from the Kennedy or in Japan camp. More can say where Bawumia ni religion ne baby free because of solidifying votes ne and near me went me and yet any idea had Ebinum what the other side not say one year she crown utumi win
Lawson FM 96.3
Sumu constituency. It is a mokas asem no ya mo so mo nhwe mu fie.
We are in Lusu constituency bia.
Where can Agyapong be free?
He never contested any election.
No. I'm talking.
How did Bawumia win his constituency without contesting? Canada Agyapong, the constituency, the NDC seat. the first time I was and not so all these years. In fact, also see from Krana and Wabe Panichum. And we see from the Moody candidate Aba. Mama on the choose candidate too. The party chose a candidate. I know I call contest. We lose
individual so choose party.
Exactly. And so the question, why are they holding him responsible for the performance of that person? Because you no choose no. Only choose no.
But Obi says, when you ma pan kawoye ye no. I'm for the children twice. A bemo when ye GD say akunya na NDC for ye dia. Ye di ma MPP hwe dwuma pa mo.
Lawson FM.
Say if you want to find out whether he did well or not, it's about the number of times he was elected. We MP na kono anya dia 1 term 2 term obeko Kennedy kokanko obi wan kobesa wini. I shall say he was doing something extra, and I've said this earlier on. Say Kennedy is the only candidate who has some special support about with his person, not the party. And the constituency is one example.
So it has to be him.
Yes, it has to be him. Otherwise, there's a disadvantage. He carries that along with him. And this is not because of MPP, not because of him. Or change one say Yeluzu. And to Onunti, and instead of saying it's a credit to him. Say what he NDC so for 24 years. No be anti-man to not change one this will perform seat. And the show.
Somebody can also argue so I knew Jumapa.
And Yanukre. At the end also ya Kennedy schools. And Yama, I have a document about what he did in his constituency. You can't imagine it. The number of schools he built with his own
Lawson FM.
People he assisted, he gave scholarships. MPB anya bida. And this talk no there. Sebi, ya call candidate back no constituency winning at the end of why or don't you and you know and on no crown contest the MP da and to only so no this is something that I've been doing some document on. He had an advantage that nobody has had before, and his popularity was not even tested before he contested. Somebody handpicked him when he was not a party person. They gave him a whip. He became a party person. He worked so hard, and so he rose to the top. That is okay. But whether or not he was popular for election, we didn't know because he had never contested an election before. You see, and he didn't call it, and it showed up. Say a by-election there, he's not a material because the chart as we have it, you know,
96.3
something, about 4 point something. It was gradual from 1 point something to 6 point something. The first candidate who has brought it down is this candidate. And Ghanaians should look at it from that point of view. A by-electioner, he doesn't have what it takes. And the one who has what it takes in election is Kennedy Agyapong. What imagine NDC seat that transfer for 24 years. Obi antimani, osi former NDC former.